Welcome everyone. This is the Kubeflow SDK and ML Experience call on 14th of January. As always, we're going to record this call and we're going to publish this on YouTube and we follow the CNCF code of conduct. So this is our first call after the new year. Happy to see all of you in these calls. Before we get started, any new people want to say hello? Want to introduce yourself to the community? Um, I think you're mute. You're mute. We can hear you.
Sorry, I was on mute. Hi, everyone. This is Prithvi Kumar Detne here. Yeah, I'm new to this community. Actually, this is the first call I'm joining this community. I have 18 plus years of experience into IT, out of which from the past 10 years I'm into DevOps and cloud technologies. I'm currently into Miami, Florida location. Andre, yeah.
That's
Uh,
great. Thanks for joining.
yeah.
Did you use any Kubeflow projects or you just start to, familiarize yourself with the community and with, other working groups?
I'm getting familiarized with this, Andre. I've not used it, but I'm trying to understand. I'm working on the Kubernetes. Like my current project is majorly on the Azure DevOps with OpenShift. I see we have
Mhm.
someone joining from Red Hat actually, also, but yeah, I'm getting familiarized with the Kubeflow, Andre.
Yeah, that's great. Thanks for joining. Exciting to have you here.
Yeah,
Anyone
thank
else want to say hi? All right, then again, we can get started. So I think first of all, so I just want to announce that we kind of switch this call to 8 a.m. Pacific time, starting from today. So we're still going to meet bi-weekly on Wednesdays using this time. I think this time might be better for folks in Pacific Coast, so they can join us and jump to the conversations. Hopefully, this new time works for everyone here. And I think as well, like we updated the calendar. So please check out the LFX calendar as we announced before, and please subscribe to the invites if you want to see any kind of updates for this meeting. Also, I would suggest you to join the ML Experience Slack channel. So this is the Slack channel we kind of drive all the conversations, and it's a good place for you to check out the progress and ask any additional questions if you have. So with that, let's probably first of all talk about Kale. So either do you want to share your screen or how do you want to move forward? If you
I
want, I
can
can share my
share, but
screen.
I'm gonna yeah,
Okay.
because I dropped the call.
Yeah, yeah, just 1 second. Um, all right.
Good morning, everyone, and good afternoon. My dogs are crazy because I have contact close factors in my home. So we migrated KO for the Kubeflow, and thank you, Andre, for all the support. The project is being updated, and we are still working to clean up. And this is the cleanup list that we need to do for the migration on this. And I need to work out and put this officially on the roadmap. The progress this week that I sent a pull request, a big one, structurally changing our build system to be based on UV. And Hannah, William, and Adam is already review it, and yeah, hopefully we can merge this in a few days. Do you want to go for our next items, Bruna? Because I think I can complement those.
Yep.
I was just going to quickly add, I know I put that we had a question. Like Eder said, we have a lot of things that we're following up with now that we've done the initial migration, and he has that big PR. There is one that we're not quite sure how to do. It's related to KFP. So I put a message about that in the channel, more for Julian, but it looks like he might be out. So if there's anyone that knows about that PR, please reach out to us.
Yep, sorry, Hannah. I rejected your item because I talked about the next step for K and not next step on that PR. Because on this is an important topic that I don't know if Stefano is here. I didn't saw, but probably he will because from the beginning. Is
Yeah,
that
yeah, I'm here.
there's two major things that we need to do, right? The first one is to do a score. We need to complete this to finish the migration to Kubeflow. And then I was reviewed with Stefano on the road to KO 2.0, and we have a bunch of items that we need to update after the UV. So the UV will spread a lot of features that will be easier to fix, like related to linting and related to all this sort of stuff. And we have a list on the draft, and my goal is until the end of the weekend to put all of those in a GitHub issues for us to track. And also, Stephanie, you created a planning board for us to move forward, right? Do you want to comment more?
Yeah, I just put up a new project in GitHub. Hopefully, we can use it to track both the feature ideas we're incubating, as well as feature planning for next releases. We can decide together how we want to use that. No strong opinions, but at least there's a centralized place to keep track of everything. Yeah, that's
Yeah.
under the projects tab, but it's still empty, so just need to
Yeah,
fill it
it's
in.
still empty. Yeah,
Yeah,
we decided to still use the 2.0 issue, right, Stefan? Because we
yeah,
are
exactly. Yeah,
so it's on my on the organizational side, Hannah, with another for the community. It's on my side right now because I got the draft with Stefano of the things that we should wrap up for 2.0 when you're looking for also for input, and then we can talk about feature and start to discuss quickly here. We have a bunch of topics that we want to put on the incubation for our ideas and a lot of feedback for everyone. My next task after UV to prepare for us to the release is that I will update our automatic release systems for us to be able to automatically release. And Stefan will create a first PR, and I'm going to update on top of it.
Yeah, I think this is great. I think we also need to update the Kubeflow page. So first of all, the website, right, that you're talking about, to include to say that the KL is as a project with Kubeflow. You can contribute. You can and like it's dedicated for XYZ. Like, so are you planning to have a page on the website, or you want a dedicated website for KL?
No, I assume that we need to put on the Kubeflow page, right?
Yeah, I mean, like we have some conversation in some other projects that, pipelines, SDK, we might want to have a dedicated website. And I do think I mean, we've been discussing this for like many years, what we should do. I think just to get started from you, yes, maybe it's good to put this on a website for now and then see, how we can iterate. Um, as well, I think we should update this table
Yep.
here. Let me make a note. Are there any kind of onboarding to-do items you need to do?
Yes, there was a bunch of them
Mm-hmm.
on the first issue on the core.
Yep.
Yeah, is the first one. There's a bunch of items that need to go there and distribute them across the team.
Yeah, DCO, yeah, patch 2.0, yeah, I think
Yeah.
that's right. So yeah, we need to go through them. Another thing I want to mention maybe for the GSOC. So if you guys have any ideas to propose to the community, maybe it's a good, like place because it's not
Hmm.
really hard to contribute to Kale from the experience perspective. So maybe I think it's a great opportunity for, for us to propose something, right?
For sure. And this is started by the GSOC. I don't know if you
Yep.
recall.
No,
Yeah.
I thought Stefano was starting this as his kind of side hustle project.
No, Stefano was the founder
Oh,
and
okay.
creator of this one, but the migration that revamped from the Kubeflow
Oh,
pipeline
I
to
see, I see, I
V2
see.
was a GSOC student that did that.
Yeah, that's great.
when's do you know when's the deadline to propose a GSOC project?
I think February 2nd or February 4th
Okay,
is the deadline. So like Ramesh, I think created the website PR. Um,
okay, okay, I missed that. Okay,
so yeah, I think we need to be fast. So if you have something to propose, please let
We
Ramesh
do.
know. Yeah, as fast as you can.
yes,
I think we can use Stefano one of our future ideas, right? To explore the
Yeah.
GSOC student.
absolutely.
Yeah, we need to merge this PR and then we need to
Yep,
just
yep.
propose topics. I think Ramesh has a template for GSOC, so should be good. Anything else here?
Nothing on my side. Thank you.
So on the notebooks integration, are we still like, do we know what is the plan there on the Kubeflow notebook?
My plan is first to do the release and then start the conversation to include the images on the notebooks.
Okay.
As I am on notebooks as well, should be straightforward.
Yeah. Should be fine. And for the release, I guess like we're gonna follow the same pattern. We have the release branches and decks, right?
Yep.
What we do for it.
Exactly.
Right.
I copy from the everything. I'm basically basing on the SDK, everything, the
Yeah,
patterns.
that sounds good. All right, great progress, guys. I mean, really exciting to have this, then offer it to the customers. Let's definitely, like maybe I know we already have someone a recording that Hannah, I think you prepared. and maybe popularize this. It's something we need to talk about somehow, right? In the KubeCons or in the conferences, right? For Kale. Yeah, great work. All right, any questions or we can move on? All right, so on the model registry side, so first of all, yeah, Lamentelo, do you want to talk about 3.9 end of life?
Yeah, so actually more than specifically to know the registry, I wanted to hear more about. I captured the signal in the PR that we've been having. Seems to me, I understand that SDK supports Python 3.9. The reason, so I wanted to ask more the rationale and the roadmap for this policy, simply for understanding how to best sort of like also align from the hub and model registry point of view. Because 3.9
Yeah.
is now also end of life 4 months. I think it went on end of life last
Yeah,
week.
yeah, yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I think it's a great question. I think that we discussed this before a little bit with Sat and Ani and other folks. I mean, I would love us to deprecate 3.9. I think the reason why I told to Sat that we need to postpone this PR because we still have customers, unfortunately, who use 3.9. And I kind of like force them, I kind of like, speaking with them to see, hey, can you migrate? Like, what is your status there? Unfortunately, for like I would say on the large enterprises, from my past experience, many customers kind of on the old versions, where it is Spark, Python, Scala, and many other things, and sometimes different teams migrate differently. I don't know, like from the OpenShift perspective, like did you have these problems, and how do you manage the versions of the upstream dependencies?
So
Um,
I cannot speak for OpenShift specifically because I don't think that is the same. What I mean by that is that typically we release whatever workload we have that is based on Python. We will have the Python version that are actualized. The reason for my question is that we face the sort of like we would like to minimize the challenge coming from potential CVEs. What I mean by that is that if today, for example, Python 3.9 is end of life, so it's not even receiving security updates.
yep.
So I'm not expecting CVEs for the Python based libraries, so to speak. But what I'm afraid of is that some of the dependency that we have, for example, in model registry, may
Yep.
decide, okay, it's end of life, we don't release for those versions any longer. It's our chance for the dependency to move on. And then if some CVE being discovered on that old dependency version, I cannot move to that dependency version that fixes the CVE because now that dependency has moved on, but naturally. So what we did is that we implemented a cap in the model registry to indeed follow at least the same for Python version as we do for Golang, which is to use this at least security maintained version of the for Golang is different because at the end of the day we produce a binary, so we don't have the problem on the user receiving end. But we align to that one to indeed at least move as the minimum base the only Python version which is not end of life, that is at least receiving security fixes.
Yep. Yep.
So
Yeah,
that
I think in general, yeah, yeah. Um, go ahead.
that's the main reason. And let's say I'm happy to sort of like also revisit that decision and postpone it to align it with the SDK. But I wanted to ask you more about this policy, so to be aware.
Yeah, yeah. I kind of like, I agree with you 100%. That's probably an open source community, should not be kind of like, I would say we should support only the versions that not reach end of life. And this should be our, like North Star goal. Because like, again, similar to Kubernetes or like any kind of, other dependencies we have, it's much better for overall community if we don't have CVs rather than, supporting legacy versions and due to other, users who might be behind the upstream community. So that is why I 100% agree we should update to the 3.10 and make sure we don't really support end of life versions. I kind of like maybe in the next release, so not 0.3 but 0.4, we're going to migrate because from my understanding, from the model registry client we have here, we don't have any blockers. Because I think I discussed with John that in the 3.9, if we use this future annotations, this will be possible, right? Like a workaround, right? At least.
Yeah, from a syntax point of view, yes,
Yeah.
but we need to make sure that the that the Python will, for example, also is compatible with that.
Yeah.
So I'm not sure, to be honest, I'm not sure if there are some other things beyond syntax that we need to be aware of. But indeed, as I mentioned, I'm more than happy to revisit the cap that we validated internally and sort of like to say, okay, we wanted to proceed with the policy, but we want to align with SDK. SDK also has a roadmap, more than happy to do so. I mainly wanted to ask you what was the general direction for SDK, so to be
Yep.
aware.
Yeah. Like what other thing like from enterprise point of view, like any thoughts on this? Like, any customers feedback on the upstream communities? Yeah.
On customer feedback on this, even on general, I don't think that that I have any. Mainly, the thing that was driven to me is that we have the mandate to address CVEs also internally, of course, as you can very well imagine. So sort of like now I got a sort of like two boss. One is my Red Hat boss. One is a Kubeflow community boss for
Mhm.
OpenSSF principles. And sort of like say, okay, I want to mitigate as much as possible, and we are keeping the dependency updated for this specific reason. Most often than not, we receive the depend bot and merge it immediately so that by the time that we
Yep.
receive the CVE notice, actually, we already done.
Yep.
And to keep the sort of like flow streaming, sort of like.
What are others think? I'm wondering, like any thoughts on these versions and customer relationship? Um,
Yeah, CVEs are the big one, but it is usually fine until the moment that it's not. Like Matteo kind of mentioned, suddenly a library you depend on, you want to upgrade, but then the newer version doesn't support end of life Python versions. But I think it is going to be something we have to deal with broadly. Is just like if we're trying to
mhm.
bring all our components into Kubeflow SDK. Um, like in this PR right now, we have Hub as a optional dependency, right?
Yep.
If we move away from that in the future and it's like all a, you know, we it's all fixed. We bring in all the different components, dependencies together, um, then there's going to be less overlap. There's going to be
Yep.
more dependencies. It's going to be trickier. So, um,
Can I ask a question? So from all the registry users that we have right now, like, do you have any users who are on 3.9 as of today?
I don't think we know. Right,
Mm.
if I'm wrong. Um,
No, also because I don't recall, so we may have support for say base images, say UB Python for all the
Mhm.
Python version that we have engagement to say, okay, we help you support sort of like these old versions very openly, as far as I can imagine. Like it was the case for Java, for example. It is still the case for Java, for example. But
Mhm.
typically, those are sort of like a contractual agreement, like extension of contract, or sort of like supported versions. So it's more indeed like a more than I don't see it really from a customer point of view, this specific problem for the Python version, because they are more interested, for example, in knowing, oh, I have the latest and greatest TensorFlow. And for that one, actually, we are on the other side of the edge, in my opinion, for example, for notebooks and things like that. This is my impression, but
Okay.
depending. I can try to investigate and gather more feedback. I simply was not involved in any discussion personally.
Yeah, I think like, I would definitely suggest if you can, Matteo, to reach out to customers and maybe ask, hey, like if you're on 3.9, is it the blocker for you to use smaller registry upstream, or you have to go to the legacy versions due to this, like upgrade? But in general, like I agree, from my point of view, I also agree we should not support end of life versions. And some customers will always still behind. Like the Kubernetes has the same problem. Like there are still users of Kubernetes who are behind. It cannot really be, like in line with the upstream communities, and they have to use the old versions. Yeah, so it's
Uh,
typical problem for like many organizations adopting open source technologies, right? Um,
May I say though that the difference that I see is that typically in that cases you have a contractual agreement, so they are
yep,
ready to also like pay you money and fund it. And here actually we have, I think, a responsibility to address what the CNCF asking us for the CVE.
yep.
So just my gut feeling about our role in the community here, it will be to make sure that we don't have any friction when it comes to be ready to address CVs in general. And this seems to me like moving away for end of life versions is actually the most sensible choice. So that's my perspective as an individual contributor here. But then, of course, if I pick any signal from customer, I will keep it in mind going forward, and we'll let you
And I
know.
agree. I agree with you, Martin, with this one. They should just drop end of life unless there is someone in the community that really needs this for they are using, for instance, the SDK or in their own project and they want to maintain by themselves the older version. Otherwise, is a kind of a waste for us of
Yeah,
resources.
yeah, I wish we can enforce, like we can say, Megan, because we're maintainers, right? And we kind of like we do have obligation with our internal customers, but at the same time we're maintainers, so we need to make sure projects are alive and we have a long-term commitment to something which, be, supported and adopted by many organizations. So yeah, I think for us, we still need to, like agree to pursue that we no longer, going to support the end of life versions. We have similar, rules for other, Kubernetes versions or other things, right? I also want to reach out to KFP team. I think they have a going to call today actually, to ask like why they supported .9 and what is their deprecated policy because KFP is like, it's like the largest adoption I would say SDK we have right now. So maybe it's a good question to ask them how they're managing this problem, right? For their customers. Yeah, but it's great topic. Like I mean, like from my perspective, like for us, I think 0.4 we just going to remove 3.9, and with our customers are going to I already communicate with them to say, hey, like if in the next version we're not going to support 3.9, it will be a problem for you, and maybe you should like prioritize this work to migrate right to 3.11 or 3.10, right? Move forward. But it's very tricky. I mean, for us, managing the Jupyter platform, for example, like we always struggling with supporting, multiple versions of Spark, Python, Scala, and we have many, many different users who own different versions, and they do have their own kind of scheduler and their own kind of business priorities on what they do. So it's really challenging question. um,
But thank you indeed
yeah.
for setting the broader context, Andre. Much appreciated. And thank you for the insights.
I I just want to, before you drop in there, like I want to quickly talk about this PR, like and maybe also with John. So, do we have any blockers, right? I think Anya left a few more comments, right, that we need to probably take a look. Um,
Yeah, I've
mhm.
I got through kind of looking through most of these and coming up with responses. Just haven't submitted my draft responses yet. And was trying out TY instead of MyPy. The main thing was the documentation. My understanding was these doc strings are probably
Yep.
okay to go forward, at least for now. Like that's something we can iterate on, as I
Yep.
understand it. So
Yeah. I think it should be fine. I think the only question I have to you guys, like, I think I kind of like raised some questions around the consistency between APIs, because, like, for example, like, can we be consistent with Spark client and model registry client so folks can easily use those tools? So I understand it will be probably inconsistent with model registry client upstream. I just want to hear from you. Is there any problems you see for us to be consistent across, these multiple experiences?
yeah, I
Mhm.
think I meant to add a comment on this. I think we need to return an iterator on our side. Like it can
Okay.
be a decent, even if it's not, hundreds of thousands, it can, like it's going to, if we return a list, then we're going to proactively make potentially 5 or 6 API calls instead of one all at once, at a minimum.
Yep. Yeah, more about like, some simple change. For example, base URL. Like can we be consistent with Spark Client Connect and model registry client? So maybe it's something for us to think about, right?
Yeah,
Yeah,
fine,
yeah.
fine with me, to go with URL.
All right.
And what was the other ones? The secure, um,
Oh yeah, my question was about, like, whether you have any users who use this HTTPS without, like TLS security connection, right? So because from my understanding, it's just for, development purposes, right?
Yeah,
Um,
it is.
mhm. Yeah, because if it is not doesn't give any much value to users, we can start without it and then add if users require this, right? So then we'll give users additional, like, but I mean, up to us to discuss these things, right? If you think this is important for users, we should keep it, right? I mean,
I think it is important, especially moving forward with the local experience that we're receiving also
okay.
some help with the UI to make it possible. So I think that it will keep it, but indeed is for the sort of like local development, local experimentation, let's say.
Yeah. Any other thoughts on this or questions from your side?
So I guess I don't know if we want to spend time on this, but then that version arg is keyword, but it's required right now. I could throw in a wrapper. I think it would not be a breaking change to make it optional later on. Correct
Yep.
me if I'm wrong. So maybe we can.
Oh yeah, making the version optional, right? Yeah,
Yeah,
it's
because currently, um, right, it's required. We don't have any function that will, auto create an auto incrementing integer, say v1, v2, v3. So you have to specify a string there. But like we easily could, um,
shall
well,
we just set the version by default to, v1 and then, like allow users to override? Like you want to make this mandatory parameter.
I guess you would have to make a request to know what the next number is, or
Mhm.
use like a UUID, right? So
And then people, on this one, I can tell you, we received the customer feedback that they hated when we propose automatic sort of like a numbering schemes. So like if somebody appreciate UID, then you have the ones that do not. Some others like the progressive number. Some others say, no, I want the semantic version. So that is the reason why they need to supply it.
and they like want to be hit with like, hey, you didn't provide a required arg if they leave out version.
Mm.
So
Hmm.
let's leave it as is for now, if that's okay.
Yep. Yeah, it should be fine. Like I know, like the only question, whether we want to move it before key arcs, right? Then, so then but it's again, it's up to experience to decide, right? It should be fine.
Well, yeah, if we make it a positional arg, then it
Yeah.
would be a breaking change, right? Or maybe.
Yeah. Yeah. If we make it positional and then make it non-positional, it won't be breaking change, right? If we start with positional,
uh,
because yeah, if you
yeah,
go the other way,
I'm
um,
okay with whatever.
yeah, should be fine. Because I mean, from my understanding, if this parameter is mandatory, it's better to make it positional rather than like in keywords. But I'm not a Python expert here. Like I don't think it's a big deal. Um, yeah, but again, I think it's fine to introduce breaking changes for now because we're still like in the in the iteration phase. I don't think we should be very strict in terms of what parameters we're gonna break. Eventually, I mean, we should move towards consistency.
Mhm.
Especially if when we have more adoption for SDK, users will make this, will take this seriously. Um, yeah, that is why, like, I suggest us to think about how to introduce less breaking changes, right? Um, so we will have more adoption for this feature, right?
Right. Yeah. I don't want to, like shed too much on the topic, but like it's also hit me that I believe in MLflow, they have like similar method register or register model, but it's URI name instead of name URI, if I'm not mistaken. And
Yeah, we can take a look, by the way.
I just yeah, I always get torn between like having these slight nuanced deviations from the underlying client, because then if people use both, it can be
Hmm.
kind of a gotcha, right? When there's like this obvious different,
Yep.
um,
Yep.
sometimes it's easier to navigate.
Yeah, that makes sense. And I think, yeah, I mean, I think it's fine to iterate on this. For the hub client, so for the catalog client, right? This will be like our next step, right? Once we have the catalog API you want to expose to users, right? Um, we're going to introduce another client, if I remember correctly, right?
When we will have a user facing need for
Mhm.
the catalog, and I think that it
Mhm.
will be eventually be, then we can start the work. And this is also, we made it in the model registry, sorry, in the hub bi-weekly meeting, that
Mhm.
any new user facing client will just come and drop it directly in the SDK.
Yeah. I also like I've been, sorry, like I wasn't able to join your call, but I know you've been discussing about MCP server discovery. You want to have a way for users to discover the MCP servers, right, through catalogs.
Correct.
Um, yeah, there's also, be some sort of, like API you want to expose, right, for users to talk to those servers, right?
Yeah, so well, actually, it's like an MCP catalog. So
Mm-hmm.
what it is that is the same concept. Sorry, it's analogous concept of the model catalog, but indeed for MCP server, where the
Okay.
admin can say these are the blessed, for instance, MCP registry. The typical answer, typical question, and also we see it internally, is like which MCP server should I use to communicate to Jira? Which MCP server for, in my case, my employer is fine to communicate with GitHub, and so the admin can set it there and in the MCP catalog.
Okay.
By the way, on the topic of sort of like I have hearing you speaking, Andre, just a tongue-in-cheek thought I had is that on the topic of, for example, how to name parameters and things like that, also is like if we get any lesson learned through this exercise, I will capture it in a markdown. For example, like base URL should be like this so that we throw it to
Yeah.
users eventually and
Yeah,
say
yeah, yeah,
you can
yeah.
evaluate directly
Mm,
the PR, how much, it's not like a strict or programmatic way to check it, but at least
mhm.
get some AI assisted to look for it for the next one in the line.
Okay. Yeah, I think that should be fine. That should be fine. All right. I think it's, yeah, I mean, it's great. Like, I think it's only question for the release. So, like, are you guys fine if the release is part of 0.4? Or like, what are your plans? Like, I want to hear, like, from your perspective. Um,
We don't have any sort of like a urgency to release
mhm.
it, but I want to make sure that we don't sort of like hold the PR
Yeah.
for whatever reason. So
Um, I think
the
we should
earliest can
because
work for
yeah.
SDK.
I also want to hear like Antonio, since you hear like our plans, and I think I briefly talk about with Anya as well, because like we have few things we can release right now, like the get job events API, wait for job status, other things around custom trainer that we can do even this week, and we also have these two big additional features with model registry and Spark client, which we can have in 0.4, maybe in also like in 2 weeks. Like, what are your perspective on the release schedule for those two features? Like, does it make sense to introduce Hub and Spark client together, um, or we want to separate it? Like, um, what do we think?
It's okay with me,
Yeah.
in my opinion.
Yeah, because if it's not urgent for you guys, then we can, because then we can maybe also migrate to Python 3.10, which also might be better, right, for 0.4. And then we release the hub, the model registry client together with new version of Python, right? So maybe it's a good, things for us, right? Let me make a note. Um,
My main, at least my main sort of like priority is to make sure that sort of like that PR doesn't stall.
yep.
So
Yeah,
that's
if we do that, would that mean like we don't merge into main right now? Another option is like for now we are making hub an optional dependency. I can add a check that just warns users if they have 3.9, right? Um,
Yeah, I mean, I mean, I mean, if we release the 0.3 this week, like, tomorrow or day after tomorrow, we can merge it, like, on Monday, for example, right, to main directly.
sure.
And then
Okay.
it should be fine.
Yeah, let's plan on that if that's
Okay.
okay.
That sounds good. Because I also like want to, have things around Spark. So I think this the good. I think maybe the only one topic it's about owners. So maybe we should add you to the, to the hub owners right files, so you can, like we can be like the maintainers there, as well. So yeah, let me make a note. All right, that sounds good. So yeah, I mean, I think we can maybe move on. Any other questions for this? All right. So then I guess, a couple of other things for the survey. So Sad is not here, I guess, right? Any like I want to like understand, like I think we have right now like around 32 responses. Want to hear, do we want to give more time folks to answer and then maybe prepare some sort of blog post? Like what are our plans? Um,
I have a feeling that's like the most we could do. I've got asked lots of teams on our side to fill out the survey. I didn't really expect more people to participate there. So I would say maybe by the end of this month or in the end of this month, we could maybe summarize the answers and publish the blog post, unless any objections.
yeah, I think it should be fine. Like I think I'm gonna ask Tarek and Valentina to publish this to the LinkedIn again. Maybe like by end of January we can finalize it.
What is the process of summarization of the survey? Like, do we just create the... Is there an example?
Um, Yeah, I think we do have some of the surveys before we publish in the Qflow blog, but they kind of like an overall Qflow survey. We don't need to be too explicit, but maybe it's a good example for us to see, like how the blog post might look like, but just, summarize what are the main tools people are using, what they expect to use, and maybe some key takeaways, right?
And will outreach team work on that, or shall we also contribute there? Because there should be some context from the Kubeflow SDK.
Yeah, I think maybe, I mean, we can definitely ask them, but maybe it's something we also should help them to do, right? It should not be too detailed, right? Just high level key takeaways, right? Um, we should start on this. Um,
I think I can help with that. I saw even the survey
mhm.
form as well as some of the example survey, I think Prometheus and other things. Like they really publish a graph and all that, like how you were saying before. So something like that,
Yeah.
like in a short amount of time, that will give a brief overview of what all the users are doing, what they want, all those like things without actually going into details.
Yep. Yeah, I think this is great. Thanks, Akash. So do we have an issue? So I think we do have this SDK um, this issue, right? Maybe we can say
Yeah,
that you're going to, maybe you can make a comment here. You're going to work on a blog post, so we can, track the work somewhere, right?
sure, sure. I'll connect with Tanya regarding the form responses and along with the format of the how we want to publish it.
Yep, that sounds good.
Okay.
Um, any other things for the survey? Right, that sounds great. So yeah, I guess like, for the release, yeah, I think we also, so for the maintainers, I think first of all, I think we didn't speak about here. So thanks, Anya, for your support. I appreciate to be, the Qflow SDK maintainer. I think we're going to have more people being onboarded and the maintainers, and definitely exciting for folks to help us with this experience. So I'm really want to have more people on board, especially once we have more projects like, Spark operator, what Shahar is working on, like what John is working on for model registry. So as long as more people will contribute, we will, like nominate them as reviewers and approvers. And overall, I hope this project will grow so we have more support from other folks. Because I think this is a great initiative, and we definitely should have more support overall for this project. Um, yeah, so other things for the release for 0.3, I think the only one remaining PR is the one Akash you're working on for the changelog.
Right, right.
Um, yeah, I will review this after the call in a couple of hours today, but it should be very straightforward, right?
Yeah, yeah. I think Anya did give some comments. I replied to some of them. I think there is one change remaining that I'll fix. I think we are good to go for that. That won't take much time.
All right. Um, yeah, I think I also want to maybe ask some of you to try out the main version of SDK so we don't reduce any breaking, not breaking changes, but any bugs. So first of all, let me ask you, so do we need RC or we can directly release a 0.3? Like, what are your perspective?
I think we have already previously agreed to not do RCs,
Okay.
which sounds good to me.
I mean, it's up to us to decide. I mean, if we find to release without RC, we can move forward. I just want to have few tests in the main branch then, and then to see like, this new API is working correctly. They get job logs, wait for job status, and the other things we have, right?
Yeah, sounds good. And on top of the release, another issue that I was thinking about is supporting namespace training runtimes.
Yep.
There was one contributor who was working on that. Doesn't sound like he's nowadays. Do you think it's feasible to include it in the release, or shall we postpone it to the next one?
Yeah, let's try to then yeah, we'll try to update by next week. I guess if he doesn't have time to do so, is it the kind of blocker for like, your adoption, or you have customers who need namespace runtimes? Um,
Yes. Yes, so it will be great to have it. But I think we could wait potentially to the next release if that's gonna be in like February or so.
Yeah, I think we discussed before. We probably have 0.4 in like in 2 weeks because of Spark operator and model registry. So if you can wait like 2 weeks, it's fine. But I mean, if someone from OpenShift can pick up these tasks and maybe help it directly push to this branch, this also works for me. So um, it's fine.
Good.
All right. So yeah, I guess like and maybe like a quick question. So because as Brian and Joanna joined earlier, so we discussed about the Python versions a little bit. So from the customers adoption in OpenShift, I asked this question on SDK side. Do you still have customers who have Python 3.9? Um, or all of them migrated to the new version of Python? Um, yeah,
Yeah,
because the question, yeah,
I
go
is
ahead.
that specific to Trainer V2 we're talking about, right?
Yeah, the folks who use in train job, right?
Yeah, no, I don't think there is anyone using 3.9. So I think
Hmm.
3.11 might be the lowest
Okay.
version. Yeah.
So for you guys, then it's fine for us to migrate to 3.10 next version, right? 0.4, for example. Okay. Yeah, that should be fine then. I think then we can make a decision to migrate to a new version, like in the after we release 0.3. So quickly for Spark operator, I think we finalized the cap. This is great. I think we have a new kind of API called Connect. We're going to implement in this Spark client API. So I think I need to spend time to review this updated changes from Shehar. Yeah, I'm not sure if this is. I think he created two PRs, right? Spark. Yeah, I think this one is updated PR for Spark Connect management. So the rough idea is to Spark clients. We're going to introduce this new Connect API, which allows users to connect to the existing Spark cluster. And behind the scenes, we use the Spark Connect CRD. So we have a stateful connections, and users can execute the Spark queries using these connections. And I think this is pretty good start. And then like we have plans to also support the batch job submission with Spark application CRD. So really interesting to see how the experience might look like for this um, the Kubeflow SDK overall. Because previously I think there is no simple way to submit Spark jobs using Python on Kubernetes specifically. So yeah, if anyone have time to take a look, please help us with the review of this 2.2.2.5 PR. I leave it here. Yeah, so we can probably like merge this in the finalize the in the new version. All right. Any questions for this? Sounds great. So then, Akash, do you want to quickly speak about GPU support?
Right. Again, if other people remember, we had a plan to support like GPU runners for running our E2E test for trainer. So as of now, we have a standalone VM that is supporting that, but again, that is not scalable. So we plan to have ARC from GitHub, which has like basically the cluster which from CNCF sites spins up a new VM for each E2E test. So that is scalable as well as useful for not just Kubeflow but any other CNCF project. So I submitted a PR, I think like 2 or 3 days back. There is a blocker, but apparently that is something that even me and Corey from CNC team we are looking for that. Uh, Basically, our cluster is not the created cluster is not getting able to access the GPU. But I'm pretty sure like I have replicated this same step for the standalone VM. So probably something we're missing. I'll try with a new VM altogether from Oracle and then try with that. I hope we can get it resolved soon. But once that is ready, I think our solution we can run all our GPU test on all the PRs and all the tests. And I think this will be big not just for Kubeflow. I was talking to Corey even from CNCF side, this will be kind of like their first support, which they can provide to all other projects for GPU self-runner. Before this, all the runners were based on CPU. Considering there are a lot of more demand for AI workloads and other things, this will be a very good thing for all of us.
Yep.
Right now, there is a blocker on that. What do you say? Cluster is not able to detect the GPU, like the newly created cluster where we install GPU operator, Kubeflow, and all those manifest. But I think that I'm planning to test and solve it as soon as possible.
Yeah, I think that's great. Like, really, excited to have this in Trainer and maybe in SDK as well, because we do run some E2E on the both sides.
Right.
Yeah, so once we have this blocker being in place, we can just replace this. We can have another action which runs on GPU
Right.
runners, right?
Right.
Okay.
And I think one more, like a small issue, like most of them, like I think even this, like the current VM, CPU VM, the default size in Oracle VM, at least what I've seen is 50 GB. So that's very less considering our workloads or any of the generic AI workload. So I have requested Core to increase the size to I think like 400 or 500 GBs. So that will be useful
Mhm.
because 50 GB is very less. It like gets end of memory or and very easily.
Yep, that makes sense. Makes sense. Um, yeah, I think that sounds great. Let's definitely continue this and add um, close to here as well. Yeah, I think that sounds amazing. So for GSOC 2026 for the SDK, I know we need to talk about. Um, so we have any plans for submitting some topics? We need to do it fast. Like any thoughts? Like Akash, do you first of all let me ask, do you want to be a mentor this year for GSOC?
Yes. I
Okay.
want to be.
Do you have any thoughts on the topics you want to propose from the SDK and from the trainer side?
Uh, Two have one is like half baked, one is like just a very basic idea. I think me and Valentina were discussing about MCP support. So
Okay.
that we can put up as a GSOC project for trainer for SDK and trainer. That will be
Yep.
very good project. And considering the average duration will be like 2 to 3 months, that will be good enough for this. So that
Yep.
is the first idea. Second idea, I'm like, oh, looking over the other issue, pending issue, which is not possible for like one person to complete within one PR. Like it should take at least some amount of like more 1 or 2 months to complete.
Yeah.
Even something which is like planned, but we have not able to do it, something like that. So
Yeah.
I'm yet to see the second idea of that.
I think having MCP server should be quite easy to actually implement because we do have we can just use the Python SDK to build all those
Mhm.
tools on top of the Kubeflow SDK, right?
So,
Yeah, I think this is a great, actually, interesting topic to have. And maybe we should, transfer this issue to Kubeflow SDK then, and then maybe use this as the um, yeah, I think we need to ask Valentina and you maybe to update this issue to, like explain it. Probably we can. So because like once we have the Kubeflow SDK, we have all the APIs for all the services. So
yeah.
then, yeah, we can have this. Um,
One more kind of idea. Like, I'm not sure how feasible it is. I remember when I started GSOC last year, there was a plan for my project, second phase of that, where we wanted to have a AI playground where not just
Yep.
trainer, we have a maybe during, not always, maybe during like say KubeCon or some events, we have some ready to made playground where they can spin up a cluster and like GPUs, everything fast, and test or like just play with various components. Back then, the issue was we didn't have infra. Now I think I and you also have access to CNCF tenancy. We have good support for that. Like I think now we are not running much of the things. I think we have two VMs. Jeffrey has one VM and one cluster. So that, I mean, again, considering this is not just confined to trainer or SDK, this is confined to like entire Qflow infra. So we can
Yeah.
have something which we can spin up fast and like show to people, okay, this is what we do, these are the things. So that can be like second idea.
Yep. Yeah, I think like for this, I know Chase also been kind of discussing some of those sandboxes for the KubeCons.
Right.
Um, yeah, so maybe it's a good also topic to think about and discuss with him as well.
Yeah.
Um, that sounds good. I think the last, so I know we have 3 more minutes. So I want to quickly say about the Kubeflow pipelines components. I know we're gonna have a call today for the KFP. I don't know if some of you can join it, but what are your thoughts on this? Because I guess like from my understanding, Matt and Homer they agree on the structure for the KFP components. Um, do we have any plans or like timeline how we want to process with this? And like I think like just for everyone else, like we try to migrate, actually like develop the pipelines components on the Kubeflow SDK, so people can use the KFP. Eventually, people can use KFP within Kubeflow SDK, but first of all, we'll migrate some of those components there. I think we call it pipelines library. Um, Want to hear like your perspective, like how urgent it is for us, and what are your thoughts on this? Um, yeah, go ahead.
Uh, just to verify, I think the agreement was to also include the pipelines as well, not only the components itself. Is that right?
Yes. Yeah, like under library, they want to have pipelines and they want to have the components. Um,
Mm-hmm. Yeah, sounds good. Regarding the timing, I don't see there any components exist in that report yet. But I think we should start working on the.
yeah, I actually saw one, which is Yoda data processor.
Yeah, it's like a placeholder or just like the first
Okay.
example, I guess.
Um, I think maybe we should, I mean, if we have time to join their call today, maybe we should do the next steps. Um, because maybe it's a good thing for us to understand their timelines, our timelines, when they want to include this, right? And eventually, probably in the 0.4, 0.5, the pipelines client also should be, the Kubeflow SDK, right? Like a wrapper on top of the KFP client, some sort of, right? I think this is also we need time to work on this. Yeah. It's basically we need someone who can drive this issue, right? Okay, I think it should be fine. We can talk about it later, and I will also try to join their call today to talk about their timeline. So, any last questions, comments before we? Yeah, go ahead, Tariq.
Yeah, sorry, I just had one question actually. Yeah, this was actually going back to the MCP server for Keyflow SDK basically. Like, just one quick question actually. There's already like an MCP server for Spark History server, so
Yep.
that's using a Python client to call into the Spark History server and then basically exposing it through MCP. So, in the context of the fact that in Kubeflow SDK there's going to be an MCP server, are you looking to kind of integrate whatever exists in that directly within the Kubeflow SDK? Is that kind of the plan, or
Yeah, I feel like it's different. So because MCP server for Kubeflow SDK can directly interact with jobs, but MCP server for Spark History server interact with the history server, right? So there are different aspects. For example, I would imagine MCP server for Kubeflow SDK could be useful when, for example, like you ask agents to create jobs, list jobs, get job logs, maybe connect to the Spark cluster, do other things, intelligence things on top of API we expose. But right now, Spark Client, for example, doesn't have integration with history server. So I think the scope of MCP server for Spark History Server is less than MCP server for Kubeflow SDK, if that makes sense. So it's different scope actually, right? And you might want agents for like your agents to interact with the both, right? Um, yeah, because from my understanding, they only have this for like Spark debugging, right? To ask agents, hey, can you summarize all of my what happening with my Spark jobs? Can you analyze them and do other things? But I also feel there could be some integrations between them, right? Between them both, like how we want to expose tools. So the question is, because I don't know how many tools actually they expose on their side. I haven't really checked this yet. Um, does make sense, Tariq, for you?
Yep, no, that makes sense. Yeah, thanks for the explanation.
Yeah, go ahead, Akash.
Yeah, one more thing, or this MCP server in general, like apparently from my previous experience, we did develop some MCP server back in Oracle in my team. Problem is we did develop it, then later we realized like not many people are using it. So I think I was discussing this before, like how we had survey. So maybe after checking the survey result or something like that, we should have some data point like, okay, these are the top three, four, or top 3 or 4 features that people want to use, and MCP server can help. I mean,
Yeah,
this
yeah.
happen like for the sake of it, we should. Yeah.
I think there is, yeah, I think there is also, I mean, in over time, I mean, I would love to talk about this like maybe more deeply, maybe in the next trainer call and SDK call, because I know there is a concept of skills right now on the cloud. So, and skills kind of overtaking MCP servers, but I still believe there is a place for MCP servers to exist.
Right.
Yeah, so, and I think we should have a session to discuss how this can be used. Um,
Right.
yeah, so, yeah, I think overall, like, this is a good idea. And I still see the value of agents because I already kind of built some sort of MCP servers for some of those APIs, like for example listing the training jobs and
Right.
maybe debugging them, etc. So there are some opportunities for us to talk about it. Maybe like let's propose this topic in the next call as well, so we can talk about it. Um, all right.
Next be on 28th, right? That will be just before the deadline.
Yep. I think that yeah. Let's we have 2 weeks. Let's talk about it next week again, Akash. We'll propose this to the trainer call and we can follow up with this.
Sure.
All right. Any last questions, comments?
Andre, Prithvi here, Andre. Actually,
Yeah, yeah.
like I just wanted to contribute something to the Kubeflow on the mainly on the ML ops and the AI ops side.
Mm-hmm.
Like I am just new to this. Like if there is anything which I can contribute, you can let me know. Andre, actually, I'll try to join these calls the next couple of weeks. We'll
Yep.
see. Like yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, definitely. I mean, good first issues, and the good thing you can take a look for example, trainer or SDK, and there are a lot of things you can help with. And joining these calls and like maybe see like what we're working on right now. It's a good thing to take a look, and also maybe start to see like the PRs, the proposals, and review some PRs so you can understand like like the work stream, right? And your experience, like, what is your past experience, like a backend engineer or working on Kubernetes more?
I'm working on the Kubernetes more like it's more on the DevOps side. And
Okay.
actually, like I've used OpenShift like from the past 3 to 4 years. I'm using OpenShift actually. Like,
Okay.
it's Azure DevOps with Kubernetes and React. Okay.
Yep, that sounds great. So I think it's a great experience for you to, work with the controllers and other things we need the help with. So it's definitely
So,
it's a good place for you to start working this. All right. Yeah, but we'll keep you posted for any like work we need help with. So
sure,
thanks
sure.
for your time. Appreciate it. Yeah, thanks everyone. I guess see you next week, and let's definitely follow up with the release so we can have something by end of this week. And I will let you know once I have done some of the testings for the main branch. All right. Thanks, guys. Speak to you soon.
Thank you.
Thanks everyone. Bye.